It is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Victor Huls. Victor Minke Huls is a cellist, conductor, and pianist. He joined the Florida Orchestra as an associate principal cellist in 2023 and was a featured soloist in February 2025, playing the Saint-Saëns Cello Concerto. Previously, Dr. Huls served as the principal cellist of the Amarillo Symphony and was a cello fellow at the New World Symphony. He has performed with the Jacksonville Symphony, Aspen Chamber Symphony, Civic Orchestra of Chicago, Toledo Symphony, St. Augustine Music Festival, Lincoln Center Stage, New Deco Ensemble, and in 2015, he was the cello soloist at the recording project at the National Orchestral Institute. Dr. Huls completed his doctorate of musical arts in orchestral conducting at Northwestern University with Victor Jablowski, I hope I didn't say his name wrong, in 2022, where he conducted many different ensembles and premiered music by student composers. He was recently named the assistant conductor of the Tampa Bay Symphony and has appeared as the guest conductor with the Florida Orchestra, Suncoast Symphony Orchestra, and the New World Symphony. Victor has been here, has performed, and he's well known to many of us here. But we are so glad, and I welcome him so heartily to speak to us today about his journey in music. Welcome, Victor.
Thank you for that warm welcome, and hello to all. It's a real pleasure to be here with you again today. And as she mentioned, I did grow up in Jacksonville, and I even grew up attending this church on occasion. And just before this service, I went and fulfilled a satisfaction of mine and walked around the lake, marshland, nature preserve paradise that you have here. And I have to say that in my memory, the boardwalk was about 5 miles long when I was this tall, but it's still a beautiful sanctuary and safe haven for wildlife, all the little crabs running around. I encourage you to walk through that again sometime. It's a wonderful place that you have here. It's a pleasure to speak with you about music and the importance of it for all of us in all of our lives, in culture, and all of the different ways that we can participate in it as well. I want to first tell you a bit about myself and kind of who I am as a musician, because each of us musicians have an individual, unique story. And mine is very much about music. I feel like I've learned music from every possible outlet imaginable. So at the age of 10, I started singing a little bit at the Church of the Good Church of the Good Shepherd. You know, the one over in Riverside? Yes, right, of course. And that was because of a mutually beneficial thing. Their music director, David Bowen, started taking cello lessons from my mom, Linda Minke, and then he saw that I was a talented young cellist and pianist already and invited me to join his children's choir. I sang there for at least 3 or 4 years in the children's choir, eventually joined the adult choir, and along the way, Mr. Bowen taught me things on the organ, on the harpsichord. He was my piano teacher. He taught me how to conduct choirs. I sang solos. It was just a very enriching experience, as well as the fact that it went along with the Chamber Music Society at the Good Shepherd. That was, of course, run by your own very dear, late Henson Markham. Henson Markham being the music director here for many years. And I kind of thought of him eventually as my crazy uncle that I wasn't related to, except not by blood, but by Bach. And perhaps you'll recall also a story that when he was invited to be part of this congregation, they said, is it all right that you know that we don't exactly recognize Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior, but we're here for community and everything? He said, yes, that's of course fine, as long as you recognize that I deem Johann Sebastian Bach as my Savior. So we're all kind of on the same page there. And there was even a time in high school when I was marooned during a hurricane, and I stayed with Henson for 4 or 5 days. And we just spent all day and night playing his harpsichords and pouring through stacks of music. And I was really in a good place with him. And so he created something amazing for us with that Chamber Music Society. It was such an opportunity for creativity, and it brought so many people together. We had concerts with strings, with winds, with brass, with choirs, small and large, Baroque mainly, but also classical and going to the modern music as well. There were times when I played a concerto on the mandolin, just because I had gotten a mandolin for Christmas one year and learned how to play it and picked out a Vivaldi piece on that. Another time I played the Vivaldi double cello concerto with a friend. And then yet another very special instance, I had been given a flute for my birthday and had taught myself how to play. I had a lesson with Les Retkus from the symphony. I had a lesson with Anne McKinnon from your congregation as well. And then I got up the nerve, because I was still young, I didn't know better, to play a big solo, and that was the flute solo in Bach's Brandenburg Concerto No. 5, which is really a trio concerto. So I was playing the flute part, my father was playing the violin solo part, and my other piano teacher was playing the solo harpsichord part, while my mom sat in the cello continuo section, and all my other friends were around me as well. So the message that I'm giving to you today is the strength and universality of the musical community. Everywhere you look, there are musicians. Everywhere I go, there are people that I know from some musical event or another, and it's just a really wonderful thing to be part of that. I have so many wonderful memories from those concerts at the Chamber Music Society of the Good Shepherds, and mainly it's from the process. You know, not just the concerts, which are so exhilarating, but the rehearsals, the planning, the execution, and just seeing each other in between moments. You know, we arrive and we say, hey, how are you doing? And then we don't just go to our jobs in a cubicle in a little office building, but we are coming together to make music, because in an orchestra or in a choir, everything we do is about each other. It's about one another. Often, a conductor, if they're wise, will get you to play softly by saying, if you can hear yourself, then maybe you're a little too loud. You need to be listening to everyone around you and to blend and to weave your voices together effectively. So in these settings, these group settings of orchestras or just coming together like this as a congregation, we all have our different ways of doing it. Some of us are better at maintaining eye contact for a long time, or just listening, or we're the ones telling the jokes, or we like to hug or laugh or dance and do things silly. But the point is that we're together. And, well, us musicians, we do go home and to our practice cubicles and we sort out the things that we need to do so that we come back the next day with our best selves. We put our best foot forward so that the group process isn't impeded by us. We want to always be prepared and do everything we can to uplift everyone else around us. Again, from these wonderful years playing at Good Shepherd, I made so many friends, including your own Jeannie Hubner, who's played a lot of music with my mom, again, cello and piano, and of course, Timothy Edwards sitting back there next to my mom, and next to her is Christine Clark, another dear pianist friend. It's a wonderful community. And then Rob McKinnon over here playing trumpet on the hymns, and his lovely wife, Anne, who I mentioned gave me flute lessons. The list goes on. And again, the music world is small, but actually it's unbelievably large. I mean, there's no way I could even begin to learn the names of every cellist in the world, for example, just the cello players. But I still know 200, 300 cello players maybe, and every festival I go to, there's another large group of people to meet. Perhaps you may or may not know that a lot of musicians, if we're professional orchestra musicians, will travel during the summers to go to other music festivals, and we'll go there to, over the course of a week or 3 or 8, make music together professionally or as students. And we have the opportunities to learn with each other and give wonderful concerts to those communities. So this summer, in addition to coming back here from St. Pete and working with some wonderful young folks this last week, I'll tell you more about that at the Prelude Chamber Music Camp. Soon, I'll be going to Wisconsin to play in the Peninsula Music Festival. It's a professional orchestral thing. For 3 weeks, we play 9 concerts. It's very intense, very fast, and the community is incredibly loving and receptive. And then I'll be going to a brand new experience, which is in East Hampton, New York. And that'll be a smaller chamber orchestra with a group of people that I don't know yet, except for probably 1 or 2 or 5 that I didn't even know were going to be there, of course. The director happens to be a friend of a friend. It's that kind of thing in music. And it's not just that, oh, yes, I know everybody. No, that's not the point. It's that we do know everyone through these relations. What is that phenomenon? By 6 relations removed, you can trace yourself back to just about anyone in the whole world and history. It's pretty true. I mean, well, maybe not all the way back to King Tut, but that's, yeah, anyway. And all of these relationships I've made over the years through Good Shepherd, through the Unitarian Church, at Prelude Chamber Music Camp, what's amazing is how those relationships have changed too, because back then I was a wee lad, and now I'm 32, and I have 2 master's degrees and a doctorate, and yada, yada, whatever. But now a lot of these mentors I can call friends and colleagues, and now have become a mentor for many others. That's a very, very beautiful thing that we have. And I hope that always in music, these things ripple outwards, that everything we do individually can have a positive impact. Like Peter said, we can't control all of the things in the world, but we can care for ourselves and each other, right? So I want to talk about some examples in music of how people have used music really effectively to communicate their ideas, both political, about justice, about rights, about anything. And one potent example is the national anthem. Some of us may have different feelings about the national anthem. Of course, it's an older tune and older words, and then they were combined, and then it eventually became what we know of today. And sometimes it's a little hard to feel pride in a country that is being divisive and violent and not empathetic to the rest of the world. But I still do stand and sing. I may not face a flag or put my heart on it, but I sing because singing brings us together, and singing is a very important thing. Now, over time, various artists have, of course, reinterpreted the national anthem. Perhaps some of you remember Jimi Hendrix shredding and the guitar and lighting fire and just making people go crazy. And in the 60s at Woodstock, that performance was a really powerful statement against war and the nation's turmoils. It's a way to get people to listen, and it's just so easy to take something that we all know and look at it a different way and make something powerful out of it. Now, a little earlier than that, in the 1940s, Igor Stravinsky, the Russian composer, was working a lot in America, and Stravinsky also rearranged the national anthem because he thought that it didn't quite sound like what he wanted to express both personally and musically. So he made it really strange with all the Stravinsky chords, you know, stuff that some people love and others can't stand. And the myth goes that he was arrested and dragged off the stage. That's not really true. I researched this. But the Boston police did get upset, and they did interpret a law saying that you can't tamper with the national anthem, and they barred him from conducting it temporarily. So it was an issue, and it's challenging authority, right? It's the ability to get up there and say, I have another version, and I'd like to share my voice, and is this a safe place for me to share it? You know, there's one other example of the Star Spangled Banner which I wanted to mention, which is a most recent version. I don't remember exactly which year, but there's a living composer among us today named Jessie Montgomery. She's an amazing African-American composer. She's worked with the Chicago Symphony as a composer in residence, and she's composed many of the tunes which are going to the top most frequently played in the classical music world. And she wrote a piece called Banner. And for her, I'll read a little bit of a quote about it. It explores the complexities of the Star-Spangled Banner and American identity. It acknowledges the song's symbolism of liberty and solidarity, while also recognizing its contradictions and limitations, particularly for those who have experienced injustice and oppression in America. Jessie Montgomery uses this piece to represent the diverse musical traditions and cultures within the United States, and incorporates elements from various patriotic folk songs as well, including the Black national anthem and even neighboring countries' anthems. So I think that's a very beautiful way of taking something and, with respect to it, weaving in more things. Because again, we're not just one person, we're not one genus or species. The human race is connected to the whole world, and we need to appreciate that. So whether that's with the national anthem or whatever, that's not the point. But these artists have made a message out of it. Now, back even earlier in classical music, classical composers have used their music to express many different things. One kind of silly example is Joseph Haydn, Papa Haydn. There was a time when all of his musicians were away at their employer's estate far too long, apart from their families. They really wanted to go home. They pleaded, they tried, and he wouldn't have anything of it. So Haydn wrote a piece called the Farewell Symphony. Maybe some of you know this. And during the course of the piece, one by one, two by two, the musicians all leave the stage. And we've had enough of this. And it got the message home. So he did release them after that. That's a very cute example of a powerful message contained within music. Ludwig van Beethoven, of course, revolutionary person. He wrote the Third Symphony, which we call Eroica. And he originally wrote that in honor of Napoleon Bonaparte, because during the earlier years of Napoleon's campaigning, he appeared to be someone who was going to overthrow oligarchy and monarchy and be a source of hope for the common man. But then he crowned himself emperor. That was not the message Beethoven went for. So also, mythologically, infamously, he tore apart his score, scratched out the name, and wrote to an actual hero, not Napoleon, somebody who can be that. And then he wrote his Ninth Symphony, which we know is the Ode to Joy, the Ode to Freedom. And Leonard Bernstein conducted that at the fall of the Berlin Wall. Had everyone singing that piece together, all for brotherhood, all for mankind. It's a very, very powerful gesture. And then there was Dmitri Shostakovich from the iron, terrifying reign of the Soviet Union and the totalitarianism in it. He's possibly the most excellent and terrifying example of political dissent in music. It's encoded with the fear and resentment of the KGB, who could come in the middle of the night, knock on your door, and take you or your family away. Can you imagine any more horrific environment to live in? Well, let's not. Let's not. But for him, he was ordered to write music for them, for the government, but it had to be right. It had to express their ideals. It had to make the common man proud of their government and stand up and want to fight and serve and feel antagonism against the other people. We've named ourselves superior and those people are inferior. And that's what they wanted his music to do. So he wrote grandiose, loud, turbulent, crazy, violent music that sounded like war, but he encoded it with his real feelings that this is terrible. This is not acceptable. And he takes us to very dark, heartfelt places. Shostakovich is hard to listen to, but it's very important and very deep and a favorite composer for many people who have come to know his music. On the more popular front, remember when Michael Jackson and 45 other people in 1985 wrote the song We Are the World in order to support USA for Africa, and they raised $60 million for famine relief in Africa, in Ethiopia? Really beautiful example of the powerful of music when people come together and make it into a charity. And then Pete Seeger, of course, and civil rights movements singing this, We Shall Overcome, right? Now, I wanted to mention how just about a week ago, of course, we saw the No King's Day protests, and nearly 6 million people took to the streets in this country and came out together in solidarity. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. And I wonder how many of you people here went out there or at least did something along with that to support this cause of democracy and freedom and being together. Thank you for that. And it was perhaps the largest protest ever in a single day in US history against Herr Drumpf. So that's a good thing too. But I see a powerful parallel between a protest like that, a peaceful protest like that, and a group coming together in an orchestra, in a choir, to share our voices and to have a common goal, a unification, where our goal really is love and sending out love. And so now at this moment, I want to make us all feel a little more connected. We've already had some call and responses, but I want to give you another one. This is a very simple song. It's kind of a round, and it has two parts, and they're the same, but one's here and one's here. So they just go along next to each other nicely. So it goes, send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. And it goes on like that. So it goes, send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. That's the first one. It starts on 3, 4, 5, mi, fa, sol. The other one goes on, do, re, mi. Send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. And so we'll just kind of get to weave around each other a little bit like that. Would you like to do that with me for a moment? Thank you. So we'll all just sing it together, the high version and then the low version, okay? So we start on this note and we're going to go da-da-dum. Send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. Now it's again on this lower note. Send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. Nice. Now what we're going to do is you guys are going to start on the high one and you guys are going to sing on the low one. So you're going to sing, send out love, and you're going to sing, send out love. So we'll go like this. Let's try. Send first note, send just the first note, send just your first note. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Send out love, do not fear. Let it shine so bright, darkness disappear. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's really wonderful. So I know I'm coming to the time when they want to give me the good old-fashioned hook, but there's another story that I really want to share about the power of music in a social justice sense. Peter really wanted me to think about those contexts. And recently, I went and taught music in a juvenile detention center strings program. It's a very small strings program, but a very important thing. And excuse me for that plosive I just made. Okay. So as I entered the campground, driving through an open fence with razor wire on the top to go see a bunch of young boys, I saw the other teacher in the parking lot with her cello, and she's just a bright light. And we walked in together and did all the stuff. I gave them my phone, and they checked my cello, and we went in. And inside the courtyard, I saw off in the distance a basketball court. And there weren't a few boys playing there. There were like 30 boys all playing together on the basketball court, which I don't know much about sports, but I think that's too many. So, perhaps their conditions could be better. They could have more time to have recreation split up or something so they could play that way. But also they were collaborating. They were getting along together. At least that's what I thought. But then I saw some other boys near me who didn't want to make eye contact at first. And then I heard one of them telling the teacher that their week had been hard, and then somebody picked on them and they got in a fight like usual. And that's the kind of thing that happens all the time. And it's very, very sad, very hard to hear some of these things. And then we went into the classroom. There were just 6 music students, 2 cellists, and 4 violinists. Some of them had only held an instrument for 4 times in their whole life. It was their 4th class. And they're not allowed to go practice in between. Their instruments are locked up. They can only go once a week when the teacher and another person are supervising. And yet, she has taught them 10 songs. They're just open strings, but they can play along and they like it and they get excited. And then one of the boys had a lot of experience on the violin before. And I got to go take him off to the side and give him a little lesson on Twinkle Little Star. He played it perfectly. And then I taught him a fiddle tune that's a little more tricky. And he shared with me that because he really loved playing violin in the past, and it's unfortunate that he stopped, he believes that if he had continued with music, he wouldn't be in juvenile detention center right now. But this is giving him an opportunity to relearn music, rediscover his passion, and the goal of the entire organization is to rehabilitate, give them power, give them experience, connections, send them off to college, and re-enter the world as better citizens. And I really wish that all 30 of the people I saw on the basketball court got music as well. And it is so important that we share that and we share our resources with groups that are making music happen. Like this week, teaching at the Prelude Chamber Music Camp. It's an amazing experience where kids from age 6 till adult amateurs are playing together. And we really think that that's a gem of what Jacksonville has to offer. We all left the meeting feeling like this was a very important thing to do. So with that, I'll leave you with the idea that music and creativity are the things that we need most in the world. And John Cleese said a funny thing. You know John Cleese, the comedian? He said that the best way to suppress people is to demand that they always be actively doing something. This is to starve employees of thinking time because that leads to creativity and insurrection. You got to keep them in a state of breathless anxiety and crisis. And if you let your vigilance slip for one moment, you could find yourself surrounded by happy, enthusiastic, and creative people whom you might never be able to completely control ever again. So let's make that happen. Let's be creative. Creativity is not based on IQ. It's based on a will to be silly and playful and get out there and make art with each other. Thank you very much, all.